Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Irina K and my channel Astrobabushka. I'm a Vedic astrologer and this video belongs to the series of videos about astrological point of view on mental health problems and specifically killers, serial killers, murders. So about a year ago, I was triggered by the words of Ted Bundy in watching Netflix. In the last episode, this is his words. We want to be able to say we can identify these dangerous people. And the really scary thing is you can't identify them. People don't realize that there are potential killers among them. How could anyone live in society where people they liked, loved, lived with, worked with, and admired could the next day turn out to be the most demonic people imaginable? ? And I felt triggered. I remembered them. And it was a sequence of events that led me to the point of my life where I am now. First of all, the Minnesota killings, when the kids were attacked during their morning prayer in the most vulnerable time. You know that even snakes don't attack anyone while they're drinking water. So that triggered me, and then now the killings of Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee. She was brutally stabbed in the light rail in the middle of the day, with the people around who didn't stand up, who didn't help her. But that's another issue. Why society at the point now in the United States, and I live in New York, why society in this state of fear? But right now, I'm doing this first video, and of course I decided to take Ted Bundy as the first example, because his chart is 100% legit. There's a lot of things you can see there, you can work with it. The chart is speaking for itself. And although it doesn't show, because in most cases, what my goal and mission in doing this series of videos, and then hopefully I will write some work about this, and maybe my final goal is to prove that astrology is not some mystical voodoo thing, but it's can be approached from scientific point of view, because astrology is about cycles. Astrology is about, there's a lot of scientific to it, and in addition to all governmental structures like police, psychiatrists, other governmental structures, I think in a situation where a person has been already diagnosed with some sort of mental disorder, or the person already been registered in police, and it's already under the radar of the police, I think astrology and knowing the cycles of a person can really complement to prevent the next attack, to prevent the next time the person will be not good in his mind. That case of Di Carlos Brown, I believe, on the video you can see that he's been struggling. He's been struggling with his mind, already sitting in the light rail, and he was calling 911 in the last month or so to say that he has something in his body that tells him what to do and what to think. So at least already at that moment there should be done some actions to help him, to help society, but it's not been done. And yeah, so the goal of the series is to prove that astrology can complement other scientific studies, and the government, the psychiatrists, they should take it into consideration. And Ted Bundy, I'm taking your challenge. And based on this word, you're saying that it's impossible to see who is the potential killers among other people. I prove you wrong. With the help of astrology, you can see it. And I want to prove it. With the help of astrology and teachings that are more than 3,000 years old, and with the help of teachings of Rao and Mr. Goel and Mr. Mark Boney, that I consider my teachers in Vedic astrology, I want to help government to prevent future crimes. And so, let's open the chart of Ted Bundy. So Ted Bundy was born 24th November 1946, and the rating is AA, so we can consider that the time of his birth is pretty accurate. And the first thing that we see is that the person was born on the lunar eclipse. Or right after, because the sun was 9 degrees of the Scorpio and the moon is 24. So approximately a day or so before, I think it was 23rd November, when it was partial solar eclipse in 1946, and it was visible in the United States. And the first and foremost, people who are born in the eclipse, they are significant on the mundane level. So number one, a person born often feels fated, pulled into collective or ancestral dramas rather than purely personal choices. Number two, shadowed identity, because sun is covering the moon. There's no moon visible, or maybe it's just a little bit. It's just started to going under the influence of sun. And sun is representing ego, vitality, clarity, also father. And with the moon or nodes covering it, there's a sense of who am I really? There might be multiple identity struggles, fractured self-image, or strong duality between outer persona and inner truth. People who are born in the eclipse season or around eclipse, they carry magnetic presence, and they have a very unusual aura around them. People notice them, sometimes feel attracted, and sometimes feel unsettled. They carry charged energy. Lives of people with a lunar or solar eclipse in the chart often involve secrecy, deception, or the uncovering of hidden truths, whether personal, familiar, or collective. People can show extreme highs and extreme lows in their personality. Therefore, it's a number one flag to check them for borderline personality disorders. And we can see that his first severe manic depressive episode was from at least 1967. That was the first known episode. Now, people are often fascinated with darkness because moon represents mind, emotional mind, intellect, and it's dark. And people fascinated with darkness, attraction to taboo, mysterious, or forbidden things in life. The unconscious has strong power over the conscious self. Because the sun afflicted here, being in the same house with malefic Mars, debilitated moon, even though it starts to go away from sun, but I consider it pretty malefic. Ketu, sun again, and Mercury. Mercury is benefic normally, but when it's placed with malefics, it acts as malefics. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4 in the fourth house here. It is Mercury. Let me here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 official malefics, and moon amongst them. Getting impression from all the malefic figures. And since the sun is a significator, natural significator of the father, eclipsed birth often involve absent, weak, or controversial father figures. Or it can be also confusion about lineage, as in Bundy's case. There's a multiple information about this, that rumors and other things, foggy basically information around that topic, and I will talk about this a little bit later. After we finish the eclipse, I will go over his traits based on, so I will do a little of astropsychology. So eclipses belong to the Saras cycle, which tie individuals to generational themes. And here we also see that Uranus is directly aspecting all this company from the 10th house to the 4th house of inner peace and happiness. And Uranus is an outer planet, and it's very close in degree, by the way, to the moon. And it adds a little bit more into this collective generational impact that this person might play in society. On a higher octave, the shadowing of light can awaken deep mystical awareness because the person is forced to search for an inner sun. This is in a case of overall beneficiary chart. This chart, as we will see later, is pretty much afflicted all the way around. And the number 10 that I have noted in my preparation for this video is that Eclipse, born on Eclipse, giving this feeling the person is definitely gifted, but haunted. It gives intensity, sometimes, especially considering that this is in the Scorpio. It's a very secretive, transformative sign, poisonous sometimes, genius, charismatic. People tend to be psychic. They have a very high sensitivity. Without integration, without proper integration, without support of benefics, which we will see later that there's no actual benefics helping in the case of Ted Bundy. All this can tip toward obsession, destructiveness, or compulsive behaviors. So again, to wrap it up, in Buddy's case, partial solar eclipse on his birth date added confusion of identity and fatherhood. Dual persona, doubled life, magnetism, and hidden shadows. Now, with the help of Drikana, which is a divisional chart, here we can see D3. We can see that the Lagna here is in Leo, so it's a fixed sign. People with a fixed sign Lagna in Drikana are determined, goal-oriented, very self-driven. And because it's fixed, they like to stay in one place. And we know that more or less Ted Bundy was famous to even, take people's lives in the same areas. 9th house here in Drikana is luckiness of a person, and because it's the ruler of the 9th house of Aries here goes to the 12th house, Mars, and it's debilitated, but it has the cancellation of debilitation by being with a strong moon in its own sign. So the person most likely will be lucky in getting away with a lot of things. 11th house we can see here is Venus, and Venus is the ruler of the 3rd house. It's a soft dusthana, and it's a ruling of the 10th house of the action. So it's a planet that's ruling both houses of actions, and it's in the 11th house. In the 11th house is a house of desires in a Drikana chart. And here later we will understand why Venus is so important in Ted Bundy's life. But for now, I want you to understand that Venus, even though it is benefic, it's more than often can play demonic part in person life, especially when it's person with corrupted psyche, with a corrupted character, with any form of mental disabilities. And we will get back again to Dracana chart a little bit later. Now I just want to go over a little astro psychology. And we can go back again to the Rasi chart here. So, what we know about Ted Bundy, that he had a very strong charisma and charm. And what we see here, Venus is strong in its own sign, Svakshatra, in the 3rd house of actions again, with Jupiter. 2 benefics. Yes, they are afflicted by being in the 3rd house, which is Tuscana, but that's mean that his actions, like people see his actions and how he presents himself and what he does in society. The first layer will be benefic. Jupiter shows the high morale, morals, and Venus shows this grace. But it also gives a magnetism and social skills and outward attractiveness. But the Jupiter is the ruler of the worst house in the chart, which is 8th lord. So the charm is tied to hidden and destructive compulsions. Here, I want to go directly to the D60 chart. D60 chart is the additional chart that we check together with Rasi and D9 Navamsha. And here Jupiter, again in the 3rd house, but it's in debilitated position and it's without any consolation. So we see here that on the outer part, we see someone who is graceful and supposed to be with high morals, but in underneath, very deep underneath D60 chart, Jupiter is pretty much afflicted, and it shows already its demonic face to us. In D9, the soul's chart, Jupiter is in the 12th house of hidden motives, and it's strong here, by the way. Okay, what we also know about Ted Bundy, that he is very manipulative. Mercury combusted in Scorpio again in the 4th house with Sun, Mars, Moon, Ketu, all this stellium of planets. You don't want to have malefics in your 4th house, because this is something that will forever torn your soul apart. And here is obviously his soul has been fractured since he was born, because look at this, he was born in moon is Jyotiṣa, and it's Mercury nakshatra. And Mercury here is being combusted. So the first 4 years of his life, he was living in a planetary period of Mercury that acts like malefic, because it's with all these malefic planets here. So here we see Sun and Moon, they all together. So and mothers and fathers and all the family here are boiling in a very destructive pot. Mercury is the planet of speech, intellect, cleverness, and yes, our hero Ted Bundy is a high intelligence person. He has Sun and Mercury together, so he definitely, it's a Buddha Aditya yoga in Jyotish, and it gives also Mercury is in Pushkara Navamsha. Sorry, you don't see it here, but it's in Pushkara Navamsha here. You can see it here. Yes, and it's combusted 35%. So in any case, it gives the brilliance to the mind. And Sun here again, yes, it's a sharp mind, capacity to study law and psychology. By the way, he defended himself in the court. But with all of this, we see the Rahu aspecting the 4th house. Of the inner peace and inner happiness of the person. And again, it adds this ability to exploit social systems. Rahu we have in the 3rd house, again here in exalted position. And in the D12 chart, I wanted to show it's in debilitated position in the 5th house. So in the chart of D12, it's a chart for the parents, and we will get back to it, but just a little bit here. It is a 5th house. It's a 9 house from the 9 house. So that's mean it's a father of the father, and it is afflicted. So we see how it impacts, like his family lineage directly impacts his life from the very beginning of his life. And mom here, like normally when it's difficult situation in the family overall, I can see sometimes that there's one figure that would protect the person, protect the child from negative influence of other family members. But here, the moon is debilitated itself and it's enabled. And Jupiter, as a natural benefic, doesn't do anything for the 4th house. So there's no protection from the good sources, good energies. So he also I think he was diagnosed with narcissism. And here to support this thought, we can see Sun eclipsed and afflicted in Scorpio on the Rahu-Ketu axis again. So inflated yet fractured self-identity can be swinging between grandiosity and hollowness. And hollowness means when there's a hole in your soul and you're trying to cover it up with no matter how, no matter what. And when there's a deep understanding and feeling and knowledge of nothing inside of you, of course people tend to try to reimburse it through the outer world, and normally it can bounce them to the opposite side of being grandiose. To support also his narcissistic traits, there's also Jupiter and Venus in 3rd house, and it even more amplifies desire for recognition and admiration. So, as a serial killer, he's supposed to be very sadistic and cruel. What can support this thought here? Of course, it's Mars. Mars here very strong. It's Ruchaka. It creates making Ruchaka yoga in the 4th house. And it's ruling the best house in the chart, the 9th house. And the 9th house is normally some source of divinity. It's some source of luck, some source of protection from the universe. And here, of course, it is afflicted because it's a little combusted by sun. Also on the Rahu-Ketu axis. Again, it's in Mercury's ruling nakshatra Jyotiṣa. So it sends us back to his first years of his life, that most likely a lot of bad things happened that laid this foundation for his character. Mars with Ketu normally gives this violence, cruelty. Some with other good supportive positions, some good surgeons have Mars and Ketu. But of course, here is another story. It gives a talent to surgical precision. So moon is, I haven't mentioned it yet, or maybe I did, but not emphasized that moon here is a 12th lord. And of course, being debilitated and afflicted, it gives the obsession with sexuality and themes of death. Saturn here is the planet that is in the house that's ruling by moon, by his mind. Saturn is Lord or the owner of the 7th house of partnerships and marriage. And it's hemmed between Mandi and Gulika. Mandi, Gulika, here you see. Oh no, here is not hemmed. 112. Oh no, it's not hemmed. But it's together. It's together in the same house. And it's nonetheless afflicting it. By the way, it's also retro. Saturn is retro. Venus is retro. Okay, we will get back to it. What tells us about dual personality here? Being born in a solar eclipse gives this duality in the persona. It's a natural significator for double life. What type of life? Of course, the chart will show overall in the whole complexity. But it just gives a hint of some personality traits that you can explore later. Now, Rahu and Ketu axis on the 4th, 10th. So 4th house is a private life and 10th house is a public life. So we can see the public mask versus hidden abyss. And Mercury combust in Scorpio, again, it's retrograde. So it creates this double narrative, split mind. I haven't mentioned also here that most of the planets in the Scorpio here are in Sarpa Dracona. And Sarpa Dracona is, and most of the planets, so Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and Ketu. I would also say that Mars is only 15 minutes out of the Sarpa Dracona, but I would suggest to consider him being pretty much in Sarpa Dracona because it's already with the 3 planets and it's just a little bit out of Sarpa Dracona, so it's still in the influence of it, in this poisonous placement. Again, Mars gives us this intense control drive. So it gives the idea, the freak controlness, sort of. Venus is standing the planet of love, natural planet of love and partnerships, is placed with the ruler of the 8th house. That adds another layer of the desire to dominate in intimacy. The moon, as the ruler of the 12th house, gives the emotional detachment, and Saturn, again, as a lord of the 7th house, gives the coldness toward partners and the desire to be isolated, or to have, that's another side, another side for him being double-faced and having double life. One life that he's on the surface, and another life that nobody knows about. The persistence and obsession, the last trait that I want to discuss, and of course it's all about Scorpio. We all know that Scorpios doesn't have to be bad. They more than often, they're pretty good people. But nonetheless, Scorpio, when afflicted, it gets pretty nasty. And here is obsessive, and it gives the obsessive intensity, inability to let go, with all the stellium in the 4th house. Again, Venus and Jupiter are repetitive, compulsive patterns in desires. And Eclipse again gives the idea of like compulsion to replay dark cycles or to repeat patterns. That's most likely coming all from childhood. Okay, so now I just go over all the affliction to the partnership in this chart. And it's probably not all, but it's already 40 minutes video and I want to finish it soon, and I feel like yes, I'm almost done. There's like a little left about the partnership, and then I will talk about the Varshapala, the solar return in the year of his first murder, and that will be a wrapping up moment. So again, to see the partnership, or if the person have some problems with it, we check always Venus, the owner of the 7th house. So here, Darakaraka, Mercury, and we already know it's been pretty afflicted. And this is how he first 4 years of life is the moment of active Darakaraka. Oh, I need to charge the phone. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. It's supposed to be working. Yes. Okay. So the ruler of the 7th house is afflicted. First of all, it's the ruler of Maraka. Let's just go over all the affliction. It's in Sarpadrikana. It's in the 12th house of isolation. It's with Pluto, which is not classic Jyotish approach, but it's within 5 degrees and they both retro there. Not a good sign. It's in its own nakshatra, Pushya, so it's in a big enemy. So it's at the same time, it's afflicted by being in a sign of enemy, big enemy, but it's also very strong. And it's a ruler of Mark, of the 7th house. More to that. Saturn is the owner, the ruler of the 4th house from the 7th house of marriage. And that's mean it's a Karesh, or the planet that brings danger to the significators of the 7th house. Significator of the 7th house in the Vamsha is your partner. So if the Saturn, here Saturn ruling the house of partnership, and here Saturn is Karesh. And when it was the first murder, I think it was Venus Saturn, yes. So the first pattern of assault and murder started Venus Saturn. No wonder. Also, when we go to the transits, we can see that Saturn, so this is the natal chart, and this is the transits chart. And Saturn was transiting 64th Navamsha, which is the beginning of Jaimini. And anything that is starting at that, when the especially malefic transiting these degrees, is going to have long-lasting effects. So how many murders after that he did? Only the one that we know. There's like the whole list of them. So if the person was held under control within this couple years in his life, maybe he wouldn't even start the whole thing, and maybe the whole thing, the series of the murder, could have been prevented. Now, Venus is the karaka of love, is standing with a ruler, it's afflicted by being with a Jupiter, the ruler of the 8th house, and it's ruling traditionally not good 3rd house. From Chandra Lagna, we see also the 7th house, and 7th house is Taurus. And again, Venus is ruling the 7th house from Moon, and it's in the 12th house from Moon. So we can see the pattern here. Here, from Lagna, the 7th house lord in the 12th, and it's Maraka. Here, from Chandra Lagna, the 7th house lord is Venus, and it's Maraka. So Venus-Saturn period is a double Maraka. Maraka means death. And of course, because Venus is standing with a Jupiter here, from Chandra Lagna, Jupiter is also Maraka by ruling the 2nd house. So it's a Marrakesh, it's ruling the 2nd house. So during the period of Venus, Jupiter, just by being in the same house, is active. I mean, we already see so many affliction here. Also, of course, in the chart of marriage, Venus is ruling of 2 Maraka houses. And the Saturn is in the 8th house. again in Scorpio, in the watery signs. Very emotional, deep, transformational, hidden desires, hidden sexual desires. So, as we can see, Venus is pretty demonic in almost every divisional chart. Divisional charts is very important in Jyotish Vedic astrology. In D8, let's open D8. Venus here in Sarpa Dracona, in the 12th house in Scorpio again. And the 12th house is 12th house displacement, and the whole, like, also it's been affected by Mars from the 6th house aspecting. It gives him this sexual hidden desires and thoughts and fantasies. In D4 chart, D4 is our real estate, but is also our inner happiness and inner peace. Venus again in the 12th house of losses, ruling the 3rd house of mild dusthana. And again, the 12th house is a loss when we emigrate. It's affliction or placement afflicted of the 12th house when we emigrate or lose our house. Here, Venus is also afflicted by strong Saturn, Svakshatra, ruler of the Marka house, aspecting Venus directly from the 6th house of inner enemies. So, during the Venus period, person lost his inner peace. And it goes to inability to fulfill any of these perverted desires that we already saw in the 8th chart. And last but not least, Varshaphala chart. So the first mortar was in January 74, so we're going to open 1973 chart. What we can see here, this is truly exceptional. Here, Mars, the planet of his anger, violence, connected to his father, to his mother, and also connected to his lineage. This is something I didn't say. This is 100% speculative, but it's connecting dots about rumors that possibly his mother, because as I remember, he grew up thinking that his mother and father were his actual parents and mother was a sister, but then he figured out that his sister was actually his mother. He found the birth certificate. And here what is interesting, the head of the father house, the Aries, Mars is ruling Aries, and Mars goes to the 12th house, and 12th house is the 9th house for the mother's chart house. So it can pinpoint to the idea that his mother's father could be his father. I will also here is not really clear for me because the father of his father is also a big afflicted Rahu here. Rahu in Sagittarius gives pretty criminalistic tendencies. But all this, of course, speculation. Okay, Varshaphala or solar return chart. This year, Mundha Lord or Mundha is where the focus will be of his mind, and it's in the 5th chart. and the Lord, the owner of it, Mars. In the annual chart is a strong Mars. The ruler of the whole chart is Moon, which is afflicted. And do you see the similarity with his chart here? Sun and Moon is afflicted in the 4th house in Scorpio. Sun and Moon. Moon is a Lagna Lord. Here's the Sun is Lagna Lord. It's again afflicted in the 5th house. So, in the annual chart, Mars is reactivated, the whole things that he grew up with. The same planet bound up with his natal inner rage and violence. In body's distorted psyche, this became a creation through violence and reenactment of inner compulsion. The luminaries repeating their natal pattern. As above, so below, repeating this the eclipse imprint that he was born under. And as you can see, through the Vimshottari dasha, through the basic astropsychology and understanding of the connection of planet with characteristic traits, the use of divisional charts, the transits, Varshaphala or solar return, we can analyze a chart in whole and see when the person might get his future upcoming dangerous period. And now, after thinking about his chart for so long and analyzing and living with it for a few hours, I want to go back to his words. We want to be able to say we can identify these dangerous people. And the really scary thing is you can't identify them. I can. People don't realize that there are potential killers among them. How could anyone live in society where people they liked, loved, lived with, worked with, and admired could the next day turn out to be the most demonic people imaginable? Seeing his childhood periods, seeing all the afflictions, I see these words a little bit different now. I can see a little Ted Bundy in them that suffered through some sort of abuse or some sort of, he was a witness of some violence or something that probably his own life was like this. On the surface, it was one picture. Underneath, it was something else, something that other people could never understand. Something that, I see in this words a little child not being able to defend himself and innocently being curious why the evil exists. They say in psychology that we are repeating trauma cycles to relieve it, and this is the way we try to heal it, and with the hopes that this time will be different. Maybe he was relieving non-stop all this violence, and he was bringing harm to other people to understand the evil and to have a closure. And like in the eyes of Irina Zarutska in the video in the light trail, there's this fear and And the question, the huge question, why? Why would you do that? How people live with this evil? How people can attack from behind out of nothing, based on nothing. Okay, this is the end of this video. It's 1 hour. I don't know how to make it less. Next video, I will try to make less. Probably next video will be about Menendez brothers. And see you in the next videos.